Okay, students, so we are going to start a sort of like exercise. Uh, so let's read it out, okay? So to understand this context better, we can do the following exercise. The bank account and the bank statement of Nadika's business for the month of July 2024 are given below. So what we are going to do is we are going to see the differences for the two balances, and let's firstly write this. So take sort of like, let's say about 5 to 6 minutes and write this in completely write this bank account and bank statement. Then we shall see how to reconcile this. Okay. Okay, since you have like sort of like finished writing this, what we are going to do is now we are going to reconcile this bank account and the bank statement. Okay, okay, let's see. Now, as at July 31st, there has been a favorable balance of 31,000 on the bank account, and there has been a balance of 23,000 on the bank statement on the same day. Okay, now what we are going to do is we are going to find out the reasons for the differences between these balances. Okay, so what you should ideally do is firstly you should finish writing this incomplete, and then now what we are going to do is we are going to check the debit side of the bank account with the credit side of the bank statement, and the credit side of the bank account with the debit side of the bank statement. So starting from the starting balance, now the balance brought forward, if you see, it's 15,000, and here in bank statement also it is 15,000. But if you look at this bank brought forward the final balance, the balance carried down the month end balance, it's 31,000 on bank account, and on bank statement it's 23,000. So what we are going to do is we are going to reconcile this. Okay. So we need to figure out what made this difference. So ideally, what you should do is you have to take this debit side and you have to compare it with the credit side. ඕගොල්ලෝ මේ debit side එක මේ credit side එකත් එක්ක බලන්න. bank account එකේ credit side එක bank statement එකේ debit side එකත් එක්ක බලන්න. බලලා මොකද්ද කරන්න ඕනේ? දැන් බලන්න මේක පළවෙනි එක, for example you have the cash deposit 8,000. Okay. Here also you have cash 8,000. Then you have to tick that. You have to tick it like this and tick it like this. Okay. Like this. Just put a tick. Okay. So likewise, do compare these things. Take about 5 to 10 minutes, and by it is 7:30 complete all writing this and comparing this. Then we shall see what are the sort of like differences in these two statements. Okay. Okay, students, I will start the question. Okay. So now what we are going to do is we are going to start reconciling the bank account and the bank statement. Now, if you see here in the bank account, the final balance is 31,000. Okay. Month end balance is 31,000. Whereas bank statement, it's only 23,000. So there is almost like 8,000 difference. So we are going to figure out what are the reasons for these differences. And ideally, what we will be doing is we will be checking this debit side with the credit side, whereas this credit side of the bank account with the debit side of the bank statement. Okay, let's start doing this. Balance brought forward, it's 15,000, and here also it is 15,000, all good. Now we are firstly checking the debit side. Okay, cash deposit 8,000, cash deposit 8,000. It's all good. Okay. Then check deposit 12,000. It's 65. Check deposit 65, 12,000. Okay. Here also it's okay. Then check deposit 46, 5,000. Check deposit 46, 5,000. Okay. Then cash deposit 7,000. Cash deposit 7,000. It's there. Check deposit 14,000. That is not recorded here. Okay, bank statement, if you can see, it's not been recorded. Okay. Then let's go to the credit side of the bank account. There is creditors 112 10,000. Check. Okay, check received. Okay, it's there if you can see. Then there is another 4,000 creditors payment. It's there. Then there is 16,000 here, but it's not recorded here. Here, if you look at the credit side, this direct remittance of 11,000 was also not here. Okay. And here, if you look at the bank statement, the debit side and the credit side, the standing order is not here. Bank charges is not here. Okay. It's all good. Can you all understand that? What we did was we checked this debit side with the credit side, with this credit side, with this debit side. And doing this, we figure out, okay, a check deposit of 14,000 is recorded in bank account, but it is not recorded in the bank statement. So ideally, what should have happened? Check deposited but not realized. Okay, one item. The second item on the bank account is 16,000. We have paid a check. Okay, it's been not recorded in the bank statement. So check issued but not realized. Okay, check එක issue කරලා තියෙනවා හැබැයි ඒක realize වෙලා නැහැ. Okay, those two are from this side, and here we have received 11,000 from a debtor. Okay, and on the other hand we have the bank has paid 18,000 for a loan installment and bank charges 3,000. So those things are the reasons for the differences. Okay. We'll to finish this, we'll erase this. Okay. Unless we cannot see. Okay. So if you compare your answer with this one, it's similar to ours. Okay. So the check deposit that is not being recorded here, whereas this creditor's payment is not recorded. And here you have this direct remittance and the standing orders, which is recorded only on one item, that is either on bank account or on bank statement. So these unticked items are the reasons for the difference. Okay. Okay, let's see what are the reasons for this difference. Okay. When the debit side of the bank account and the credit column of the bank statement are compared, check deposit but not realized was 14,000, which we discussed. A direct remittance of to the current account by current account in the bank by a debtor 11,000. Okay. Then when the credit side of the bank account and the debit side of the statement is compared, unpresented check to the bank, which was 16,000, that creditors check, which we have been discussing. Okay. Here, this 16,000. Here also, if you see here, this 16,000. And the payment on standing order for bank loan and installment not recorded in the bank account was 18,000. This 18,000 payment. Okay. And bank charges not recorded in the bank account 3,000. So these are the reasons for these differences. How did we figure it out? By comparing the debit side of the bank account with the credit side of the bank statement, and comparing the credit side of the bank account with debit side of the bank statement. So we have identified these reasons as the reasons for differences. Okay, these 5 reasons. So we have less than 1 minute in this Zoom session. So Zoom session will close out. I will send you a new link to continue the session. Okay. So if you can complete your records referring to this slide if you have missed anything. Did you all get it correct? Have you all missed anything? Okay, we have figured out now. We compared the both sides on the bank account and the bank statement. So we compare the debit side of the bank account with the credit side of the bank statement. And we compare credit side of the bank account with the debit side of the bank statement. And we figure out several reasons. Okay. Now it's been summarized here, which we already discussed. Now, when we compare the debit side of the bank account with a credit column of the bank statement, the reasons for the differences are check deposited but not realized of 14,000 and direct remittances of 11,000. So you can see here it's not been ticked. Here also it's not been ticked. And when the credit side of the bank account and the debit side of the bank statement is compared, we figure out another three reasons: unpresented checks, which is 16,000, payment on standing order 18,000, and charges not recorded 3,000. So if you can see here, so the 16,000 check which is issued but not realized, and these two payments, 18,000 on standing order for the bank loan installment and 3,000 for the bank charge. Okay, so we have now identified the reasons, and let's write the note. So you can write it as the reasons for the differences are, and write these notes, write these points, write these points. Take about, do not take a lot of time. Now it's 7:43. Quickly write it. Take about 1 to 2 minutes and write it. By 7:45, complete this. Yeah, we'll move on to the next slide. Okay. So to adjust and compare the reasons, two steps has to be followed. So now what we are doing, we have identified there is two different month-end balances, and we figure out reasons. And we will be doing two things: adjusting the bank account balance of the business and preparing bank reconciliation statement. Okay, now write this. To adjust to adjust and compare these reasons, two steps has to be followed. They are adjusting the bank account balance of the business and preparing of bank reconciliation statement. Take 1 minute and write this. By it is 7:46. I will move on to next slide. Okay. So we will be learning about the adjusting the bank account balance in the next slide. Students, shall I start the new section, adjusting the bank account balance of the business?
So it's the last one.
Okay.
So can you show the
Please.
previous slides, sir?
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Students, I will be starting the next section, okay? Since we are running out of time. Now, if you look at these two statements, now we know in the bank account, the balance brought forward is 31,000 month-end balance, whereas in the bank statement, it is 23,000. So we are now in the process of reconciling it. To do that, we have to do two things. First, we have to do three things actually. Firstly, we identify the reasons, which we have already done, okay, ticking like this and figuring out these reasons. And now we have to prepare adjusting the bank account balance of the business and the reconciliation statement. So firstly, we are going to look at this adjusting the bank account balance of the business, okay. Now, among the reasons that have caused a difference between the bank account balance and the current account balance, there may be some errors or omissions. So there could be errors or omissions. Okay. Due to these errors and omissions, bank account balance become incorrect. Therefore, bank account balance should be adjusted. This is known as the adjusting of balances of the bank account of the business. ඒ කියන්නේ adjusting the bank account balance of the business කියන එකේදී අපි කරන්නේ, are there any errors or omissions between the bank account and the bank statement? We are checking it out. Are there any errors or omissions? So if there are errors or omissions, then we have to record them. So what are these omissions that are being seen in the current example? Okay. According to the above example, the values of the following courses should be adjusted in the bank account of the business. Now, direct remittances, standing order, and bank charges, they are recorded only in the bank statement, whereas they are not recorded in the bank account. Okay. Bank account balance should be increased by the receipt of the direct remittance. Therefore, direct remittance should be debited to the bank account of the business. Then direct remittance again the win. Now, once we receive a direct remittance into the bank account, the bank statement, ideally the bank account of the business should go up. The balance of the bank account of the business should go up. Okay, therefore we have to debit the bank account. Payment on standing orders and charges made by the bank should decrease the bank balance. Similarly, once you make a payment, let's say it's a standing order or charges, what happens is your bank balance is going down. Therefore, the payments on standing order and charges should be credited to the bank account of the business. Why we credit it? Because bank account is an asset and this asset balance is going down. When asset balance is going down, as per the double entry principle, we are crediting it. Okay. We get the adjusted balance of the bank account after these adjustments. So let's see how we are doing that. Okay. Now, what we do is we take the bank account adjusted balance. Okay. The account name is bank account adjusted. Now this is balance brought forward 31,000, which is coming from this final balance brought forward one. Okay. Then what we do is we know now, okay, now we have received 11,000 from a debtor. Okay. We have received, if you look at the bank statement here, see direct remittance from the debtor 11,000, we have received it. And standing order 18,000 we have paid, bank charges 3,000 we have paid. Okay. So because of that, what we do is we start with the 31,000, which is the month end balance of the bank account, month end balance 31,000. And we have received a direct remittance 11,000. We have paid 18,000 and 3,000 for the standing order and bank charges. So we start with 31,000. Okay. Then we debit the account for this 11,000. Okay. We have received 11,000 direct remittance from one of our debtors. When we receive this 11,000, the bank balance is going up. Because of that, we are debiting the account. Whereas we have made a payment of 18,000 on standing order for bank loan, and bank charges 3,000 has been also paid. So because of that, we are crediting the account. Okay. So what happens? 31,000, 11,000, it is 42,000. And the bank loan and the bank charges, it total to 21,000. And when you deduct 21,000 from this 42,000, simply I'm explaining the balancing of account. Okay. You get this 21,000. Okay. So you know now by this time it's 21,000 reduced to 21,000. Okay. Once you adjusted the bank account, it's 21,000 balance brought forward. But still there is a difference. Because if you look at the bank statement, it's 23,000. Now here we adjusted the bank account balance and it is 21,000. So step one, we have to do this. Did you understand what I said? උගලන්ට තේරෙනවද මම කියපු දේ? What are the points you did not understood? You did not understand. Did you understand what I said?
Yes.
Did everyone understand?
Yes,
Minur,
sir.
you all understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we can move on to the note. Okay, I will read this out and you can start writing it. Okay, adjusting the bank account balance of the business. The topic is adjusting the bank account balance of the business. One reason for discrepancy between the bank balance and the business's current account balance could be errors or omissions in the bank account records. These mistakes cause the bank account balance to be inaccurate. To correct this, the balance must be adjusted. A process known as the adjusting of these balance, a process known as the adjusting of the balance of the bank account of the business. According to the above example, value of the following courses should be adjusted in the bank account of the business. 1. Direct remittance, debtor remittance. 2. Standing order, bank loan installment. And 3rd, bank charges. Then, continuing the note, the bank account balance should increase by receipt of direct remittance. Therefore, direct remittance should be debited to the bank account of the business. Okay. Payment on standing order and charges made by the bank should decrease the bank balance. Therefore, the payment on standing order and charges should be credited to the bank account of the business. Then we get the adjusted balance of the bank account after these adjustments. Okay. So once you do that, you have to write this. Can you start writing this note? Put the heading adjusting the bank account balance of the business and start writing. Take about 1 to 2 minutes and complete this. Then we will move on to next slide. Okay. Students, take 1 to 2 minutes and start writing this slide, the next slide. So I will be moving on to next slide. Okay, take about 1 to 2 minutes and complete writing this. So this is the adjusted bank account. We have included all these items which are like sort of like recorded in the bank statement, but not recorded in the bank account. We have included them here. If you can see the receipts from the debtor, the direct remittance, and the payment for bank loans and the bank charges, they are being recorded here. So take a 1 minute and complete this.